This man is already dead. He just doesn't know it yet. In the beginning sequence of this video, you can see a man by the name of Jacob Cockle doing something you should never do: swim in a whirlpool. But before we cover his demise, we have to understand why he did what he did. Jacob was an avid outdoorsman and lived in the sea. He apparently learned how to swim at the same time he learned to walk. He was in love with surfing and filming it, documenting his death-defying feats. Jacob was already a daredevil by all definitions, but as a teenager, his sister passed away, pushing him to take more and more dangerous risks. Jacob believed that his sister Grace's energy was transferred to him, inspiring him to throw everything to the wind and give it a try. Him and his friends filmed stunts where they surfed in dangerous rocky waters where others would dare not. He would regularly hurl himself from high buildings into water. At one point, he was even rescued from being crushed by a ship, but these stunts wouldn't compare to his final stunt: swimming in a whirlpool. At the age of 28, he would film his final video on the cusp of his dreams, titled Jacob's Last Piece, posted to YouTube. During normal operations, there would not be a whirlpool present, but occasionally the tide would come back faster than the water would drain from the pool, resulting in the famous whirlpool. In Hale Harbor, there was a regular whirlpool that would appear a few times a year due to the Victorian engineering designed to prevent the harbor from silting up. At high tide, water would be stored in a pool, and once the tide went down, the water would be released back into the harbor to wash away the buildup of sand. Jacob took notice of this whirlpool and decided that he would swim in the whirlpool and film it for his YouTube audience. To him, this would be a perfect video opportunity, so against better judgment, he decided to ignore the warning signs about swimming here and jump in. On May 28, 2013, the whirlpool returned, so Jacob grabbed his friend David to film and set out donning a wetsuit and horse mask. For quite some time, Jacob swam in circles around the whirlpool, allowing it to pull him to and fro, but nothing too dangerous happened. David stated that the whirlpool looked powerful, to which Jacob replied, "Earlier on, it was really scary."
Wild horses, man.
Now at this point, you might be wondering how Jacob was able to remain afloat during these initial stages, and the answer lies within his wetsuit. The neoprene wetsuit Jacob was wearing was extremely buoyant, making it very easy for him to float on top of the whirlpool and avoid being pulled down. As long as he were to stay above the water, he would be able to avoid the pulling force down. If Jacob had left at this point, he would have been completely fine, and the video would have been a success. This did not happen though. Jacob wanted to get one last shot of the whirlpool underwater. Jacob grabbed his GoPro and dove down. As David watched and time went on, Jacob did not resurface. The massive mistake that Jacob made here is not realizing that the further down you dive, the lower the buoyancy of the wetsuit is, and the stronger the whirlpool becomes in comparison. David began to worry and called for his friend, but no response. David ran to the other side of the quay where the water flowed into a pool, but no sign of Jacob. David asked a fisherman if he had seen anyone come through, but the fisherman had not. Eventually, Jacob did wind up in the pool on the other side face down, and at this point, Jacob knew it was too late. So remember, nature is certainly not to be underestimated, and under no circumstances should you ever swim in a whirlpool.